I'm sure we've all had it. The situation where someone has let us down, hurt us, or just been mean. How did it make you feel? Imagine it's lunchtime. You have been looking forward to your packed lunch all day. You're almost at the end when your best friend swoops in, steals your chocolate biscuit, crams it in their mouth in a oneer. Would you forgive them? Or your mum or dad have promised to take you out at the weekend, a special day just for the two of you. At the last minute they tell you they can't actually do it because they have to take your sister to a piano exam. Would you forgive them? Your best friend has walked away. They've gone off with someone else and they're now spreading horrible rumours about you that aren't true. Would you forgive them? You've failed a test. You've not done well at all and you're now calling your names like stupid and idiot. Would you forgive yourself? We all have situations where someone has let us down, whether they've hurt us, deliberately or not. But when we hold on to unforgiveness, it can do major damage to our mental and physical health. We might think we're actually punishing the person who's hurt us, but when we don't forgive them, all we're doing is hurting ourselves. It's like we're binding ourselves up in chains, unable to live freely. One day, one of Jesus' disciples, Peter, asked Jesus the question, how many times should I forgive someone? He goes on to say, should I forgive them 7 times? But Jesus had way other ideas. He turns back to Peter and says, you should forgive them 70 times 7 times. Peter was shocked. But Jesus didn't actually mean you forgive someone 490 times and then you stop. In Jewish culture, it was taught that you only had to forgive someone twice before giving up. Peter already thought he was really righteous by saying 7 times. So when Jesus said 70 times 7, it blew Peter's mind. He might as well have said 7 million times. Jesus goes on to illustrate with a story. One day a king called his servants before him and asked them to tally up how much money they each owed him. One of the servants owed the king over 50 million silver coins. The king ordered the servant and his family to be thrown in jail as slaves until the debt was repaid. The servant fell to his knees before the king, begging him to take pity on him, promising with just a little more time he would repay the money. The king had pity on the man. He forgave the full debt and let the man go home. As the servant was leaving, he met one of his fellow servants who owed him just a few pounds. He grabbed his fellow servant by the throat, beginning to choke him, demanding for the money back now. His fellow servant fell to his knees, begging for mercy, and said, with a little more time, I can pay back the money. The first man refused to give him more time. He had his fellow servant thrown in jail till the money could be repaid. When the king heard about this, he was furious. He called the first man before him. How dare you not forgive your fellow servant when I had already forgiven a huge debt? As punishment, he had the first man thrown in jail until the full 50 million silver coins could be repaid. When we refuse to forgive someone, all we're doing is binding ourselves up. Like I said earlier, we're not free to live our lives fully. Have you ever been forgiven for something you've done wrong? I'm sure we've all messed up, made a mistake, or just been plain mean to someone. How do you think the person who forgave you would feel if you turned around and refused to forgive someone else? The Christian writer Lewis B. Smead says this: to forgive is to set a prisoner free and find out the prisoner was you. When we refuse to forgive, we are binding ourselves up. We aren't free to live our lives freely. In John chapter 10 verse 10, Jesus says this: I have come that you might have life, and life in all its fullness. Jesus doesn't want us just to merely get by day to day. He wants us to have a full and joyful life. But that can only come through a life with Christ. When we go to Jesus and ask him to forgive our sins, we get that full and joyful life. But like the king who forgave that debt of millions, how do you think King Jesus would feel if we refused to forgive a debt of mere pounds?